Welcome to Florida Mint on Florida Man with Greg, Wayne, Josh, and Cameron, the podcast where Floridians discuss the legends, lore, and crazy stories that always seem to take place in Florida. Good afternoon.
Good after evening.
Good after evening, guys.
Hello.
Hey, Josh.
Some people in this room have a servant's heart and volunteer, do their own community service.
Right.
Thank
Some
you
of us
for
do,
the compliment.
Some of us don't.
Thank you.
I'm just going to explain how I contribute
Okay.
to my neighborhood.
Right.
I believe someone's been storing their bicycle in my car in the middle of the night.
What?
Well, I found like tracks on my roof, like mud tracks, like a bicycle tire had been there.
Yeah.
And I was going to get mad, but then I'm like, you know what? If he needs a place to store, or she
Right.
needs to store their muddy bicycle.
Is it
Right.
like tire tread or just mud?
Now there's like two like half circles on my ceiling.
Yeah, but
Like-
weren't you practicing your kicks the other day?
Yeah, but I was doing
Not
that
in the car?
I was doing that in his car,
Oh, okay.
his minivan.
Yeah.
So in your car, there's a crescent moon bicycle, like kind of tread on your on the
That's
ceiling.
beautiful.
So I got this pride in me, and I want y'all to have this pride.
Right.
So I think maybe y'all should volunteer, like soup kitchen or something.
So
I mean, I would volunteer somebody to store a bike in my truck.
No,
that's fine.
that's taken.
there's only one of those positions in town.
Yeah.
And Josh owns it.
I
You're
guess
welcome.
I love it. I wonder if any of the headlines Cameron has for us are of a sympathetic nature like that.
Definitely not.
Oh, I can't wait to
Never.
hear of this.
Never.
Let's go.
Okay, headlines.
Come on.
All right, so I'm going to read us some Florida Man headlines.
Yes,
All right.
please.
The most popular segment of our show.
Easily.
I think so.
The best
it's like-
segment for sure.
It's Cameron's mama's favorite.
yeah.
segment.
Well, you can see
And
where,
your mamas.
where listeners tune out, and it's always like right when that music starts.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
literally just said, and yo mamas to me.
All right, so our first Florida man
Okay.
drove drunk and got arrested.
Come
on him.
on, man.
Shame on him. We've been
Bing.
through
There
this.
should be like a known rule.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that or you'll get arrested.
And
For
there's
sure.
signs about it. What does anybody know what the signs say? What is Florida's slogan for drunk driving?
Click it or ticket.
No,
If you buy mink, make sure it don't stink.
exactly. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Come
Oh,
on.
that's
So
a tongue twister, though.
If you've driven anywhere in Florida on the interstate, you'll see this sign.
Yeah.
Well, this drunk driver did not happen to see that sign when he was driving drunk,
That's the thing. It hurts the vision, the alcohol.
but
Yeah.
he did hit the sign while he was driving drunk.
Okay. See, there it is.
So the Florida man, I forget his name. Let's see, where's his name at?
Drunky drunkard.
His name is Bounty.
What? Hello.
That's why I forgot his name. Bounty Sharami, 22 years old. This was down on Tamiami Trail. He was driving drunk. I think his breathalyzer test was like double
Yeah.
what the legal limit is.
Yeah.
But he hit this big, giant digital sign that says
Whoa.
drive sober or get pulled over. And that's what happened.
These
He got
kids-
arrested.
Somebody tuning in who doesn't live in Florida, they hear names like Bounty,
Sharambi.
Sharambi, and Tamiami Trail, and they're like, this is made up.
Yeah, I mean,
Bingo.
it's not.
That's real locations. That's a real person. But I have a
And that's
question.
a real story.
Well, here's the thing. Is the problem, drinking and driving, or maybe the drinking and driving sign was too small?
I think what
Okay.
happened is he's like, that's a good verse. I want that as my life verse.
Right.
Well,
Let me
I
just push it to my house.
I think what they should
That's a good
do
idea.
is they have these signs like on the highway, correct?
Right.
If you're seeing the sign, you're already drunk. You're already driving. They need to put these in your house or in the bars,
front lawn.
or
In
in
the
the liquor
bars.
stores.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anywhere before you get in the car.
I think we just solved drunk
Yeah.
driving in
I
Florida.
think so.
He
Yeah,
really did. He solved it.
Let's go.
exactly. All right. All right. Our next headline
Okay.
is about one of our favorite Florida women.
Oh, I know who it is.
Okay, hold on.
I know exactly who it is.
Billy Cucumbers?
Yes.
Yes. Sarah
so-
Palin.
Sarah Palin. That's next week, I think. Carol Baskin.
Oh, gosh.
B.
So
the song?
Carol Baskin was in the news this week because she is going to be on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
gosh.
So-
I
That
thought you were
jumped
going
the
to say
shark.
her husband.
If you're still watching this show,
oh, fuck.
you're in for a treat or possibly not a treat at all. I really have no idea where this is going to go with Carol Baskin. Okay, so if you don't remember who Carol Baskin is, let me go back. She is the Tiger Queen,
Right.
Okay?
Get 'em.
Yeah.
Well, we called her that in our episode that we did about her, but she owns Big Cat Rescue, and she also owns Tiger King's property in Oklahoma
'em.
now.
And
But-
she's from the documentary Tiger King.
Exactly.
Yep.
So she's been in a ton of lawsuits. It's been rumored that she might have killed her husband.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, first husband.
That's the
Right.
big.
Yeah.
That's the big issue. But somehow she's going to be in this.
I think it's
Dancing with Stars.
out of spite. Like, even if she's an amazing dancer, she's the best dancer anybody has seen.
well, looking at
since-
her on a bike in the documentary, I'm
You
like,
could tell she's
that
got
girl.
moves.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
can dance.
But I just want to say that even if she's good, I think we're going to vote her off out of spite for what she did to
do
her
you
first
participate
husband.
Are
in
you
the
going to vote?
I vote 18 times via text. That's the max
okay,
you can
that is
vote.
the limit.
That's the max you can vote
I
on
thought that was
show.
American Idol.
Well, I'm sorry, 16 times.
Yep. Okay.
I got my shows wrong.
So, anyways, Carol Baskin is also in the news because
Oh,
she
geez.
is in another lawsuit.
Okay.
Murder.
The daughters and family of her ex-husband, who was killed or disappeared, we're not sure which, are suing her. But a lot of people thought they would sue her for property or for money or anything
Yeah,
like this.
yeah.
They're actually going into this lawsuit strictly for information. Like, they're basically just suing
Discovery.
for discovery.
Right.
Nice.
And so they're
Lawyer.
going through all this
That's
stuff and trying to get discovery and information so that might lead to other
Well, I
lawsuits.
think either way, I'd be TO'd, right?
Well,
For
yeah.
You either killed him or you ran him off.
Right.
He's my dad, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we're upset.
and they never got any inheritance from him. But
Bingo.
anyways, that's a whole nother episode. But yeah, Carol Baskin's, I'm going to be interested to see how.
You know, if
how
she
it
really
looks.
wants to own it, she does one of what's his name's songs. She dances to.
I'm pretty sure her. Oh my gosh, the
Right?
Tiger King song
Yes. That's how you own this situation.
with her dancing partner dressed as a tiger.
Oh my
And
gosh.
or have her dancing
Please.
partner dressed as Joe.
Oh my.
And she's a
goodness.
tiger.
And she's looking in the camera the whole time, just
Oh.
like
And
staring him
the
down.
she's the tiger. He's Joe. She eats him during the dance.
And
And you
Joe's
know-
sitting in prison watching
Watching
this.
Oh man, this
On
is
the-
so good. I gotta watch.
Carol, if you're listening again, we want you to know that this is a good idea for you.
You know what's going to be?
Yes,
It's going to be like a
right.
prom dress and like the cha-cha slide or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll get voted off soon.
Amen.
I hope not. Anyways, our next headline: Florida man attacks his Uber driver.
That's fine.
Okay.
Is it?
Well, I guess wrong direction or something.
Maybe you got the order wrong.
Is it
Uber
is it
driver.
okay?
Uber driver.
Uber.
Sorry.
Not poober.
I was thinking of Uber Eats.
No,
They got the bring,
no. So
Is that an excuse though? You're like, oh, well, Uber Eats guy. Yeah, punch him up.
he brought me the wrong food.
so Andres Perez drives for Uber. He picked up this guy named James Naylor, and James Naylor sat behind him in the back seat. They were driving off.
scary.
And all of a sudden, James pulls a knife out and puts it to the Uber driver's throat, and basically,
That's rude.
at first he wasn't sure what was happening. He thought that
Yeah,
because he
'cause the
heard the
blade.
guy. I think he heard the guy saying pull over before he realized there's a knife to his neck.
Oh man.
So
whoops.
he said, well, I thought he was going to get sick, which is probably pretty common.
Amen.
With
well,
Uber
more common
drivers.
than the knife to the neck.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, he pulled over. The guy, basically, he realized that there was a knife to his throat. He basically got out of the truck, started running away.
Well, he had a nice turtleneck on, so that's why he didn't feel it.
Yeah, he
Right.
didn't feel
That's
it.
what that said.
No. And so the suspect starts running after him with the knife.
God
He gets
bless.
to him and tries to tackle him. He's holding this knife, and the Uber driver actually kicked the knife away,
Wow.
which is a pretty good move.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the suspect
Because you
pulls,
want the foot.
but he pulls out another knife.
What? This is Cameron.
yeah, a multi-knife carrying.
He's got two
person.
knives. And so, anyways, they get back into this fight. He kicks this other knife away, gets away from this
Jesus.
guy. And anyways, the suspect does get arrested after he tries to go get in the Uber driver's truck and tries to drive away, but he can't figure out how to put the truck in drive.
God bless.
So the Uber driver's like, yeah, it's a newer model. It's got like a weird shifting thing, which some of them are just buttons now, which is
Yeah.
strange. But yeah, this guy gets
Did they-
arrested. and
I
caught.
would have loved to watch that happen? You know, a couple kicks and knives go flying.
I know.
I know.
It sounds like a movie.
My thing
It
is,
does sound
was
like
there any
Jackie Chan.
explanation why he was trying to attack the guy?
No,
or
he's just a mean-spirited person.
Mean-spirited person.
Yeah.
You're right.
Just stop being mean.
I can
bro.
imagine driving somebody around like that, trying to be nice, and then you just feel that cold steel.
No
on your-
turtleneck
on your
though.
neck. Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
that turtleneck
on.
will
That's
protect
right.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So our next one, man, I don't know. You guys just love stories from the villages.
Yeah, we do.
And I say
A
you
lot
guys,
happens
meaning
there.
our listeners, because we get stories sent into us all the time about
Yeah.
the villages. And every single time, Josh explains what the villages are.
Old people live there. It's like heaven.
Yes. It's
Without
like heaven.
passing away.
Okay. Old people live there in heaven. Got it.
Yes.
So anyways, this couple, this Florida couple is banned from a village restaurant because they stole some chicken wings.
Okay.
Hello.
So this couple went into this restaurant in the villages, Gators Dockside.
They
but
get
they
good
were
wings. Yep.
standing close to the to-go bar. They were just kind of standing there, and somebody else's order comes up.
Free. Yeah, that's
And
dibs,
they just
bro.
snatch it and run out of the restaurant. They got like 25 chicken wings. This sounds actually
Worth
like
it.
something Josh would like. Sweet and spicy jalapeno burger.
That's what I'm talking about.
Come on.
And so, anyways, one of the waitresses was able to get the license plate number of the vehicle. So they when they fled, the cops did catch up with them and somehow persuaded them to return to the restaurant and pay for the bill.
Really?
Which
I
was
think
like-
persuaded is like, I'll arrest you. Or
Yeah.
you can pay $7 for what you
Yeah.
stole.
Well, it was $41.
Hell, okay. Sorry,
Those are
Gators.
some expensive wings. But they went back, paid for the bill, and then Gators Dockside was basically like, if you ever come back here, we'll trespass you. But the manager didn't want to prosecute.
Bro, they're old and white and live in the white, I assume, and live in the villages. How's he going to stop them from coming in?
Yeah.
That's like every person down there.
I mean, they can just go in and, I mean, it's not a dumb thing to do, though. I mean, I'm not condoning it, but like standing there, I've thought about it.
They shouldn't have ran.
I know,
Because
but
then they
if-
could have said we
Yeah,
got the
you
wrong
gotta
orders.
do it with
actually.
confidence.
Yeah, like if you're standing there waiting for your food for a long time and you see somebody else's food, you're like,
Yeah.
My food.
they probably ordered good enough.
Hey, man.
And then you take it and then you leave. And then when the cops come, you go, I'm so sorry. I had no idea.
I had no idea.
I
I'll
had
go
no
pay for it.
idea. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
I'll pay for it right now.
Exactly.
So if
You
you
don't
guys are
run out
listening
snickering. Going,
and you want to know how to take food,
Yeah, we just taught you.
take it with confidence.
Take a good lesson
Be apologetic
amen.
and pay.
and run. Okay, last headline. So this Florida man was
Okay.
shot
Yes.
at a boat ramp.
Why?
Skipping.
It's a great question. So he was deputies found him. Somebody called the cops. I think it was his girlfriend called the cops. They show up to this boat ramp and found this guy with a gunshot wound in his leg. They
Ouch.
take him to the hospital. But once they started looking into the situation and started investigating the situation,
Yeah.
the guy said, the victim said that two guys had robbed him at gunpoint at the boat ramp and shot him.
It's a hot spot for thieves.
Yeah, the boat
Oh,
ramp.
yeah.
They're like fish.
You want the
yeah.
fish that other person probably
That's
caught.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me your rods and reels or give me your catch. Of the day.
Exactly. And so they started looking into the situation and they're like, man, this isn't adding up. And so they start investigating him.
Oh, no.
And they get his phone and get his the girlfriend's cell phones.
Okay.
And they start looking into them and see pictures of the victim holding a gun like the one that he described being shot with.
Okay.
No.
Well, he disarmed them.
Yeah.
And so they found out that he shot himself in the leg.
Okay.
He eventually confessed and then tossed the gun into the river.
Okay.
But the thing is, they still don't know why. Like, what was the point of him? There's no.
Isn't there a new TikTok challenge? Like shoot yourself in the leg?
There,
I think so.
Isn't that
probably
one of-
is.
So wait a minute. He claimed that he got shot in the leg and they came and took his fish. They stole his fish from him.
Well,
His catch
he
of
didn't
the
say
day.
that, but I think Josh ad-libbed that.
Oh, okay.
But,
Improv, baby.
But at the boat ramp, he said he got robbed and shot,
Yeah.
and then the guys just drove off.
I'm just curious of like what like he said they robbed from him.
He didn't say, they didn't specify in the article, but
Yeah.
I did see this week that there's a new state record for the catfish, the largest catfish caught in
Really?
Florida,
Really?
69.9 pounds. So maybe he was just upset, like
Chunky.
He's like, man, I thought I was gonna catch the biggest catfish.
And then he was
Yeah.
like,
bang.
bang, bang.
And there's no point anymore. And
Sometimes
so he
you
shot
got
himself.
an itch so bad, only a bullet will take care of it.
I know. Here's the thing, though. In all likelihood, it's probably an accident. He was embarrassed.
Yeah, but
If you shoot yourself by accident,
you don't
and
get in
you're-
trouble for shooting
But
yourself.
if you're a prideful person, you go out there
You
to catch a.
you should get in trouble for shooting yourself.
You
though.
should, but if you go out there to catch the 69 catfish,
Yeah.
Yep.
and then you don't catch it, and your girlfriend's like, "You're a piece of crap,"
Yeah,
And you're
I
like-
told you to catch the largest
69.
catfish.
and he was like, "I'm embarrassed," pop, pop,
And my leg itches.
and my leg itches.
I mean, it might have happened.
I think so.
Keep that playing. Keep it on loop, fellas.
Come on.
So I got a letter,
Okay.
and they're like, "You're always dumping on old people," and I was
No.
too. But I had to spend some time with mine, and
Yeah.
I found out a lot of cool things.
About their old people,
Yeah, about their old people that they're related to.
like grandparents.
Grandparents
Gotcha.
is what they
that's
call
what
them.
we call them.
Okay.
They put G parents, and I was
Gotcha.
like,
They lived in the villages.
yeah,
For sure.
retired.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Have you found out anything cool or had any cool experiences with your grandparents?"
Yeah, I've had a lot of. I mean, I've had a
Cool
lot of
experience?
cool experiences with my grandparents. I've had a lot of interesting stories. About
What's
my
her name?
grandparents. My mama.
There we go.
So yeah, my dad's mom. We call her mama, and she's wonderful. But whenever I
She
was
sounds
little,
beautiful.
she
Yeah,
is
She sounds
super
elegant.
cute.
She's beautiful. When I was younger, I was probably like 8 or 9. And back in the day, for you guys who may not know this, you younglings, pay-per-view was scrambled. So if you were watching pay-per-view and you hadn't paid for it, it would be scrambled on the screen. So you couldn't really see anything. You could hear the audio clear.
You were paying to descramble.
Right.
And there was like a message on there, right? Like a box.
Yeah, basically telling you that,
Yeah.
you know, you need to pay for it, whatever. And I was a huge wrestling fan growing up, and the WWE was on. Shawn Michaels was fighting Bret the Hitman Hart for the
Nice.
title. This is
Nice.
a big match. I'm 9 years
Probably
old.
a Royal Rumble.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's 11 p.m. I'm watching it in the spare bedroom, and the final match is on, and I go to potty. And let me just explain myself. Channel 99 was pay-per-view. Channel 98, one tick, down, was not. It was pay-per-view, but it was a different kind of wrestling for grown-ups. If you get my drift, not the kind that you would want to watch.
The one you're watching is for grown-ups, though.
It's
right?
WWE. What I'm talking about on
you're
98 is
married people wrestling.
right.
Oh.
So I go potty.
Skin on skin.
Yes. Apparently, I had accidentally turned it down to channel 98.
Accidentally.
That took us.
I stand by the fact that it was an accident because I wouldn't want to miss that title fight.
That's true.
So I go pee, and when I
Okay.
come back, my mama's standing there with a belt.
Uh-oh.
And I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, don't know what I've done wrong. I think she's mad at me
You
for
pee too
watching
loud?
wrestling.
Yeah.
She whoops me. So
Whoa.
for like 3 weeks, I'm like, she hates wrestling. I can't talk about wrestling at Mama's house. She's going to spank
What
me
did you
again.
do with your toys that you would bounce off the rope? You
I
didn't
know.
bring those over?
I couldn't bring those over anymore.
gosh.
But it turns out she came out, saw that I was, rolling
Oh,
on the TV,
Yeah.
and then she spanked me for
the
it.
dirty channel.
Even as a married
Yeah.
man, he still won't wrestle.
I can't
He's
even
still
say
not
it out
allowed.
loud. I can't say it out loud.
No.
Not with Mama.
No.
My story and my experiences with my grandparents are
Sound
probably
nice.
better than Wayne's.
Okay. Thank you.
Are more loving and a lot more fun. No, I just remember like there's lots of great experiences with my grandparents.
Bragger. Jeez.
But I'll always go back to like one day out of the school year or like one day out of the semester.
Right.
My grandpa would always like keep me out of school that day,
Uh-huh,
and
to
like
punch him in
we'd
the
go do
face.
like the fun things that grandpa did, and like in my head that my grandparents do all
Right.
day.
What is
Right.
that?
So we would go down to the clubhouse. We play pool all day.
Okay,
Come
that is
on.
kind
Or
of
we
cool.
play pool for like an hour or so, and then we go over and play ping pong.
Yeah.
There's a ping pong table. We go bowling.
Jeez.
Jeez. Louise.
We'd go back to the clubhouse, had
Yep.
like a gym. And I remember this one
Okay.
like machine at the gym.
Okay.
it had this big band that you put on your butt.
Oh my god!
And then it just shakes. And apparently
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
supposed to like loosen up all that
Yeah,
fat.
it's supposed to loosen.
It was a
the fat.
great weight loss thing, but I just remember like skipping school those days, like going through playing games with my grandpa, like all day. Shuffleboard.
Yeah.
You guys know
Wow.
how fun shuffleboard is?
Shuffleboard gets a
is
bad
a lot
rap.
of
It's a
fun.
lot of fun.
And
dude.
they had it indoors, so you're not even sweating.
Oh my gosh!
So you get to, like,
And that's a high intensity sweat sport.
Exactly.
It
Most.
is. So you spend an hour in the butt machine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you go
well,
play
he was
shuffleboard
tiny, so
indoors.
it's probably on his head.
Yeah, I lost like 20 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, like I can't wait to have those experiences like every
With
day.
us.
With your grandson.
Oh.
Or I just mean every day. Like as myself. Like when I
Shuffleboard.
retire, I just want to go play pool,
Oh, I see what you're
play
saying.
shuffleboard,
Yeah.
go bowling every day.
Some of those communities you can
Pick up
buy
a kid
in.
from school.
butt jiggling.
You can buy
man.
into those communities. You don't have to wait till 55. If you've got the right kind of dough, you can get in there.
Yeah,
No,
but I
I
don't.
don't think so.
I don't have the right
He doesn't have that.
to go into the
No.
villages. No.
That's true.
Mhm.
Josh,
Oh,
how are your grandparents?
Well, mine are kind of odd. It's
Your grandparents?
Yeah, that's for sure. But I'd spend the summers at my mom's.
Okay.
Right? And we had my grandma there.
right.
This is the summer I spent in the wheelchair. I might have told you all about.
Oh yeah.
Last week, I remember
Yeah.
that.
But I, summers is a time where you really hone your skills. We talked about you pick a skill and you hone it.
Right.
Okay.
Like put spikes in your hair, and you're like, I'm the kid with spikes in the hair when I come back.
Or skateboarding.
Or skateboarding.
Something productive.
I wanted to get good at armpit farts
Oh, jeez.
What?
because I would see it on what
I
are
remember those.
the two redhead boys on Nickelodeon,
Pete and Pete.
Pete and Pete.
Dude, it has been so long since I've even heard the term armpit
Armpit
fart.
farts.
Like that's I don't even think that's a thing anymore.
No, you can't. I
If
think
somebody-
once we hit the 2000s
it
Y2K,
was impossible.
yeah,
You
it
could bring it
stopped.
back.
Explain what it is real quick.
So you put your hand under your armpit, and then you want a big rig to honk his horn.
Yeah.
You do that with your fist up and down.
Show us how it works.
Yeah, I got too many layers right now, so I can't. It's all muffled.
So you spent a summer trying to master the armpit fart.
Well, I wanted to do it in private because I didn't want my grandma to go, you trying to learn how to armpit fart? You can't even
That's
armpit
embarrassing
fart?
for anybody to
Oh,
see.
yeah.
Bingo.
You have to practice that.
So I would go into the bathroom, and my mom was going to work, so I was just me and old Grandma Granny.
Yeah.
we called her.
Grandma Granny.
Yeah, nice lady. So I'd go in the bathroom just for hours and just. And apparently, what had been happening was when my mom would get home, Grandma Granny would pull her to the side. And, I think Josh has some digestive issues.
Oh, jeez.
And so my mom was always changing the food that was in the fridge.
She thinks
Oh,
you have a dairy allergy.
Yeah, so but every day I'm going in there and I'm using like lotions
you're just practicing.
and creams. I'm
jeez.
mastering like the length of the it's
The drop off point. Yeah, we call that the
people
drop
think,
off point.
Yeah, the drop off point.
Right.
People think you want to lotion the outside. But no, the good noise comes from between the fingers.
Right.
So you get a
Oh my
little
gosh.
lotion, Jergens, baby. Little Jergens
Yeah.
between the forefinger.
Yeah.
And then you go, huh, huh, pff. And it makes a big air envelope that just slowly seeps out.
Uh-huh.
And I think at the end of that summer, I had like 3 appointments with like digestive people. And I didn't understand why.
By the end of summer, he was just
And a counselor.
eating crackers and
Yeah.
drinking ginger ale.
But I could say my name by the end of summer. It would be like, Josh.
The whole alphabet.
Jeez. That's impressive.
If you're tuning in for the first time to our show, this is the segment where we you learn a bit about us.
Yes.
And so now that
Nice.
we've clarified that,
I
learned
was
too much.
an ambidextrous armpit
wow.
farter. Yeah.
so that but
Josh.
I was going to say that's your first impression of Joshua.
Yeah.
Is he spent a whole summer trying to learn how to armpit fart.
Probably
Nailing it.
the
yeah.
best impression, too.
I think what we should do next week for live stream on patreon.com/FMOFM.
I'll take my
podcast,
shirt off.
I think we should have Josh do an armpit showcase.
Now I can do it
Armpit
with my
fart
belly
showcase.
button hole.
Could you do it from like behind your knee?
Oh, easily.
Come on.
My reverse knees.
That's
are
skill.
If that doesn't convince you guys to sign up, nothing will.
No, nothing.
nothing at all.
Henry Peterson was born October 11th, 1854 in North Florida.
1854. Do it.
200.
Oh my
If he was
God.
still
880
alive,
years
He
approximately.
would be 200 years old.
Give or take 3 decades.
Yeah.
Give or take. The time of Henry's birth is important because 9 years prior, in 1845, Florida had officially become what was called a slave state.
Okay.
Who gave us this title?
We don't want that title at all.
No, we gave it to ourselves because over half the state's population was actually enslaved African Americans who were being forced to work, and on specifically on plantations that were located between the Apalachicola River and the Swanee rivers.
That's
Okay.
north.
Yeah, up north.
Yeah, so basically, these were the conditions that Henry Peterson was born into. And when he was 7 years old, he had already been forced into hard labor.
Oof.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his father had also been relocated. His mother had passed away. So technically, Henry had no family, but he wasn't alone. This is the good part because basically enslaved Americans at that time, they would form their own communities and take care of each other.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
think
you
you
have
have
to.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And so they were taking care of Henry. But what was interesting is that from a very young age, Henry was always considered to be a leader in this community,
Okay.
Wow.
even though he was very young. So people were drawn to him. They said he would always be telling stories. He was always like gifted in so many different ways. But specifically, these are two things that are very interesting about Henry. He was apparently incredibly, impossibly strong for his age.
Okay. Well, I think, yeah.
That's impressive.
Working since 7.
Right.
You get muscles that other 7-year-olds don't.
Right, I guess.
Yeah.
And he also was extremely charismatic.
Well, that's always a good thing.
Wow.
It's always a good thing. So this kid ends up being a central part of his community, even while he's young. In fact, people would say that he was an old soul.
Okay.
Okay, and so that means somebody who acts and behaves much wiser
Cam.
than their actual age.
I've said that about myself.
I said Cam's an 80-year-old.
Yeah.
right. When Cam
Shuffleboard.
Posture.
when Cam hangs out with my mama,
Oh, yeah.
she says that he's an old soul.
Yeah.
She said that
My
about
grandma
him.
Granny.
She
she's
hits on me a lot, too. I don't
She
know.
does.
Yeah.
That's what
playing,
that said?
playing shuffleboard. So because of this, Henry Peterson receives a nickname from his community. All right, they're calling him an old soul. They start calling him
Cam.
Old Pete.
Oh, okay. That's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess
Right to the
because like old because he's an old soul
Yeah.
and very wise, and Pete
Pete
because apparently Henry is boring and the first half of his last name isn't.
Okay.
So Henry
Yeah.
Peterson became Old Pete.
Old Pete. I like
think,
it.
I think if you know who your friends are, if they're calling you Old Pete,
Right.
but
Yeah.
your real name's Henry.
I feel like if somebody told me, hey, you need to go have a chat with old Pete, I'd be like, I'm about to learn something.
I
That's
know
right.
for
You're
sure.
definitely about
I think
that.
that's the vibe everybody got from him. But when we talk about Old Pete being a leader and showing leadership qualities, we actually have concrete examples of this. For instance, when Old Pete was a teenager, Florida decided to declare themselves an independent and sovereign nation.
See
Okay.
ya.
I don't know
Okay.
if Florida's good at creating their own titles right now.
No, we're not. And according to historians, the sole reason for this was they wanted the protection of slavery.
Ugh.
So Florida
Okay.
was like, we're going to withdraw ourselves from everybody else because we want to protect this notion of slavery. And so this was almost like a precursor to the formation of the Confederacy,
Okay.
and then what would lead to the Civil War.
It was
Okay.
our fault.
I mean, not,
Jeez.
not entirely, but I mean, it's
I
not
always
looking
thought,
good.
like, well, we're not south.
Yeah,
we're in
yeah, yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
We're not like
No, we're
those other
guilty.
states.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, lucky for Old Pete and his community, basically, there were pockets of Union resistance in Florida.
Nice.
Okay. So most of them were along the coastlines, the good guys. So one night, while Old Pete and his friends were sitting around a fire outside, a Union soldier comes like crashing through the woods,
Okay.
comes like bursting through. And this is Confederate territory. So obviously, the Union soldier, he's scared, he's stumbling around, and he asked to speak to their leader.
Okay. Nice.
Kind of
like
like
7-year-old.
like, hey, yeah, well, yeah, at this point he's a teenager. But he's like, hey, who's in charge here? And so when no one speaks up, Old Pete, who is a teenager, stands up and goes, I'm in charge.
Well,
It's me.
hello.
Nice.
He kind of owns it. So the
And I
Union-
can prove it with my
ID.
handshake.
Yeah.
Right. So the Union soldier, he hands Pete a letter that basically says, if you and your community can escape your Confederate, kind of slave owners, then you'll find safety and freedom along the coast.
Okay,
Basically,
wow.
So he was looking for them.
he was looking for
Okay,
them, basically
perfect.
I
saying
think crashing through woods is an odd way to find people.
Yeah.
I think what it is because it's enemy territory, more than
You're
likely.
getting there quick.
Yeah, and he's basically he's behind enemy lines.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the soldier had risked death to let them know that there was a better life waiting for them if they could just manage to escape.
Yes.
Okay. So immediately, old Pete is like, this is on me. This is up to me to help make this happen. So Pete begins organizing their exodus.
Nice.
It takes weeks of planning, but using the cover of night, old Pete and 117 members of his community, they escaped the Swanee River plantation and they made their way to the coastal community of Port Tampa Bay.
I thought, why not just leave that night with 117 people?
What the heck?
It's a big community.
And they went to Tampa?
Right.
Jeez.
So along the way, they experienced very little opposition, but they did have one close call. They left with 100 plus people, but Pete had them divide into smaller groups, so it would be harder to detect them as they traveled.
Yeah.
So when they were about 30 miles away from their destination, the small group that Pete himself was a part of encountered some ruffians who wanted to take advantage of them.
I feel like almost everybody in this state at that time was a ruffian.
Yeah, these are ruffianers.
The ruffiest.
Yes, the ruffiest. So this led to Pete taking them on in a 3-on-1 altercation.
Oh, what? My gosh.
During the fight, Pete not only single-handedly defeated the three men, but he used his enormous strength to throw one of the men into a small tree, causing the tree to fall forward and hit old Pete in the head.
What?
Wait,
hold on.
What?
Yeah.
He threw somebody into a tree so hard it hit him.
So he
came back and hit him?
You throw, he hits, cartoon style.
He basically throws the guy into the tree, and it caused the tree to fall forward, basically breaking the tree. It falls forward, hits old Pete in the head.
Goodness.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you said it was getting better, so
I'm
glad to hear
I'm
this.
interested now.
So the people who were, they were around, they saw this, they were kind of shocked, and they ran to check on Pete, only to discover that he was completely unfazed.
Of course.
He's doing
just holding
push-ups
the tree.
Yeah, didn't
with the
bother him at
guy.
all.
Yeah.
So this led to the belief that Pete had basically an iron skull.
Oh, God.
What?
And it kind of spread pretty quickly.
What's
like
his nickname now?
still old Pete.
Okay.
But they're
With
like,
the iron skull.
Old
they're like,
Iron Skull.
don't mess with this guy.
Yeah.
They just watched a tree fall on his head, and he got up and was like, "You guys ready to go? Like, are we moving on?
Anybody feel that breeze?
Yeah." So this is how legends are born, right? Events like this is how folklore
trees,
for sure.
is created. But seriously, being as young as he was and possessing the strength and character to escape slavery himself and also help his entire community escape is really what made him the legend that he became to be.
And thinking about it, I don't know how it is in other states, but Florida, we don't have a lot of soft trees.
Right, no, for sure.
You'd say that.
So he took
it's
one
like
to
oaks.
Yeah.
They're hard.
We're not a soft tree state.
No, we have hard woods.
Well, he broke the tree by throwing a human being into it.
Yeah.
That's a big. Yeah.
So that's
impressive.
That's impressive. Yeah. So by the time they arrive in Port Tampa, his legend has preceded him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I would hope so.
So other people had arrived here from separate plantations. So the people in this free community who came before them, they're all waiting to meet this legendary guy called Old Pete.
And they're like, please don't throw me into a tree.
Yeah.
He's hard-headed, amen.
Yeah. And Pete doesn't disappoint. He becomes a central figure in this much larger coastal group of freed people.
Okay.
And so in 1863, with the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation, President Abraham Lincoln declared that all persons held as slaves are henceforth free. So for old Pete and his community, they're living free in this coastal town, but they're like, there's more to freedom than just us living here on the coast. Like they know there's hundreds of thousands of enslaved Americans who live in Confederate states still in bondage. So following old Pete's lead on this, thousands of former enslaved people enlisted as soldiers and sailors in the United States Army fighting against the Confederacy.
Wow.
So these men provided Union commanders with valuable intelligence about Confederate troop movements because they had once lived literally, behind enemy lines. I mean, they live there.
They're like, this new ship, Pete, will you check it to see if it's durable enough? And then he would just run his head into it.
He's like, it feels great.
Unsinkable.
This one's not strong enough though over here.
Yeah. Well, a few short years later, in May of 1865, federal control was reestablished, and slavery was abolished in Florida.
Let's go.
Okay.
So they whip some butt, take care of business. Henry Peterson, aka Old Pete, he actually passed away in 1934 at the age of 70. So he lived a long time.
Old Pete, am I right?
Right, exactly.
Old Pete.
But what's fascinating about this story is that a lot of the details about his life, they're not really clear because we have one character that we kind of know about historically. But then we have an Old Pete that has basically become Florida legend entirely. Okay.
Amen.
So after he passed away, stories about Old Pete are kind of passed down from family to family.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, he became the Florida Paul Bunyan.
Wow.
Okay.
Well,
This
yeah.
guy,
I think I heard this is how breaking boards on your head got started.
Old Pete.
Paul Bunyan was a lumberjack, right?
Whoa.
Well, if you were to talk with someone whose family kind of knew Old Pete or knew stories of Old Pete, there's all these amazing tales about him that took place between the Civil War and the time that he passed away in 1934.
I would love to hear one.
I got a bunch of them
please.
for you. So one, for example, one day while Old Pete was walking around town, he encountered a man harassing a lady and her child.
Okay.
Old Pete approached the man, grabbed him by his legs, spun
Jesus.
around, and threw him on the rooftop nearby.
Oh my
Nice.
God.
The roof fell off and hit him in the head.
And then he said to the man, "If I were you, I'd think twice before climbing down."
Wow.
Jeez, what
Okay.
a line.
So he threw a guy
Threw a
onto the
person
rooftop
on a roof.
and then was like, "Don't climb down.
Goodness.
You got to stay up there now. That's where
That's
you
like
live."
the ultimate fight.
I love
move.
that.
Well, and remember how the tree fell on his head, obviously.
Yeah.
you
It
mentioned
didn't
that.
phase him at all. Well, like we said earlier, this led to the belief that he had an iron skull.
Mm-hmm.
So legend has it that in order to entertain school kids, Old Pete would actually challenge goats in
Oh
a
my gosh.
headbutting contest,
Okay.
in which he always won.
What's winning in this
The
competition?
goat falls over.
The goat's
Wow.
like, please stop. Like,
And-
you won
And
last
Old
week.
Pete would throw the goat on the roof.
Is this where that was it Casadega had that rule? Is this where they
Had
got
the mayor with the
idea?
headbutting.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually not that far away, so
Oh
it kind
my
of does make
goodness.
sense. It wasn't Casadega, it was
Cedar Key.
Cedar Key. Yeah.
lock in.
Yeah.
But then there's one more, last but not least, one Old Pete story that we found. And this is my favorite. One day while napping in a rail car repair shed,
Okay.
Old Pete used a railroad track as a pillow to rest his head.
Oh my gosh.
A switch engine
Okay.
accidentally pushed 2 rail cars into that shed where Old Pete was resting.
Yep.
And the first rail car ran over Pete's head, causing the rail car to derail.
What? Okay.
When the workers rushed in to check on Pete
Okay. He derailed a train car
with his
head.
head because he was night.
and
So,
he was still sleeping.
so when the workers rushed in to check on him, he
No.
was still asleep.
Oh my. Okay.
So they woke him up and they told him what had happened. They said that Old Pete yawned and stretched and said, my head does feel kind of funny.
Jeez.
Good God.
And then he went back to his business. So based on what we know about this amazing man, and also including all of these like hilarious tales of his life that took place after all of his heroic deeds in the Civil War, he's one of the greatest Florida men to ever live. But we want to thank Zora Neale Hurston for her many great works in literature, but specifically for compiling the greatest compilation of African-American folklore in Florida's history.
Wow.
She's the one that detailed Old Pete and just literally thousands of other stories of people who were similar.
Can it get better than a guy who derailed a train
With his head.
with a sleeping head?
I don't think so. I think it gets different. And I've read through a lot of them, and it's just... For all of the terrible things that happen in Florida, I'm always amazed by the people that come out of the other side. It's just
real.
we have so many historical figures. So I think Old Pete beats Paul Bunyan hand-to-hand
Absolutely.
combat. Absolutely.
yeah.
Those Paul Bunyan on the rooftop.
He throws his blue ox on the,
Yeah, well,
on the
he
roof.
challenges him to a ram competition.
ram off.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of town. But that's it for Old Pete.
Nice.
FMOFM
Wow.
podcast is where you find us on social media.
Yeah.
FMOFM.com is where you can find out everything about us, our life, our life stories,
Social security number.
Pictures.
our phone numbers,
Yep.
pictures
Yeah.
of us. There's a branded merch section. I think our shirts are sold out now. Are they sold out?
For now.
Yeah. So, but eventually we'll have more stuff there. And Patreon, if you want to live stream this, if you want bonus material, we release bonus episodes every month.
Yes, we do.
Behind the scenes look at stuff, our show notes. That's patreon.com/FMOFM podcast. And we love you guys
So much.
so much. Episode 93. I think we're done with it.
Let's go.
Come on.